with, guys. The real truth that's so difficult to deal with. Our molecules are falling apart, right? It's in DNA testing. As everything changes on this planet, we're thinking differently, right? Because we are not used to this atmosphere whatsoever. The atmosphere is changing in everything. Oxygen, water, food. And what do you think that does to us? Nothing. Nothing. We're starting to change our whole environment because our environment's not the same anymore. And when you consider the radio waves that's in the air and the chemicals they put in food every day, right? Stop and consider what we're putting in our mouth all the time and what we feed off all the time. When we can't cook our own food and can't grow our own food anymore because we're no longer productive. Consider all the preservatives that we stick in our mouth every day. All the chocolate bars, lollies, soft drinks, and all the things that destroys our DNA. And we have the evidence that is all caused by pollution, and all chemicals from synthetic products are classified as pollution that's causing all this. And we're polluting ourselves to death. We literally are, right? When we start putting all these pieces together, we start to understand something. Natural drugs cannot be registered and they can't market it on, they won't even research it. The things that are really truly safe for us, that the indigenous people have known for thousands of years, they always knew the right path here. They always knew the right products to take, right? With our natural products and natural thinking, and they overcome everything because they create the molecules that repairs their genes rather than create the molecules that collapses them like we do. And it's going faster into nowhere because of the mindset we live in and what we consume and the way we think. Through coercion, corruption, collusion, because we're designed on it. Then you kind of get it really simple, right? With basic common sense, without being too sophisticated and using the same social engineering or sophisticated language that you were molded into. Because it only makes you good at what you do, in fact, not intelligent. So try and think about that. When you really get these things, and you really get it right, you see things and you see things to unravel. You see everything that's designed in reverse psychology through the soul world will start to unravel right in front of your face, right? And you'll see it clearly and you'll feel everything through your feelings, not through your thinking. And most people don't understand that concept whatsoever because they don't live in it. They don't even know how to because they don't have faith in their instincts to guide them in life with their sixth sense. But you have that ability where you can feel everything 7 times more powerful than anything you understand today. And that's what we're disconnected from, our primal state. When you're resurrected back in your primal state the way I am, and you can use 100% of your brain when everyone else is restricted to 9, you really see how stupid people are when you stick your head out the cave and you realize how much the sun is the light shining on the other side and the grass is a lot greener. And then you look back and realize how stupid you are, that you were there too, and you have more understanding. You have a much greater care factor, and you're a lot more observant and aware of things that people turn a blind eye to. Then you understand why the world is where it is today. But very few people has the great experience, wisdom, and knowledge to guide humanity right now in the time that we're in with this kind of wisdom. The kind of wisdom that's been abolished all over the world and social engineered. You know, not for 1 minute to come here to put tickets on myself, but it's the way that people think all the time, negative. And they always accuse what they're guilty of because they think that way. And people don't even understand that because they're judgmental. And they want to be competitive all the time, and that's all they think about, right? Look at the platforms people follow and the people they listen to the most, right? What are they telling you about things out here? What are they entertaining you with? What are they distracting you with all over the world? Stop and ask yourself that simple question. What have you been entertained with and what are you being distracted with? Because 99% of the human population is not paying attention to this. And that's when you know it's really difficult to get through the skull. People turn a blind eye, non-stop. Today, all over the world, the biggest killer in the world today is opiates and all our illicit drugs all over the world. 2/3 of all children on the streets die from opiates. Where do you think they come from? They come in 14 products of methamphetamine. It's built into the pseudoephedrine they make it with. The companies have put opiates inside the pseudoephedrine, so when they manufacture methamphetamine, it's already in there. And most people are so oblivious to this. But that's where it comes from. right? And when you understand these things, right, because you can look in any document in the world that 2/3 of kids and everybody that dies on drugs dies from opiates all over the world, whether it's given on a pharmaceutical counter with a prescription from a doctor, or they're getting it through the underground world on methamphetamine. Doesn't matter which way. But you understand something. That genesis and the depopulation plan has been carried out for a very long time. It didn't just begin now. And that's something that's so difficult to wrap your mind around. But when you worked with the two top scientists in the underground world and you saw what the adverse effects were, you realize it was happening then. You realize what the part of the plan was when NASA sent two scientists into Ormo, Brisbane, Australia, with 5 criminal networks all over the world, and sent 10 ton to Amsterdam and 10 ton to Florida every month for 14 years straight, protected by the governments until we got European international pressure in 1994 and they took the Burris case down. When you realise how this was constructed from Hitler, and when you realise about a court case from Uncle Fester in 1978 when they dropped a chemical war bomb in Cambodia to wipe out a village with the first chemical war bomb, they used Fester as a fall guy in an international court scene all over the world in 1980. He was the top scientist from NASA that worked with this and designed all these products. He stood in court and said, "You can't put me away for this, because if you do, I'll give you the biggest drug problem in the whole world." Okay, the biggest drug problem in the whole world. And then 4 years later, on the front page of the papers, it says that Fester successfully carried this threat through against the whole world. And the only man ever in global history to be able to carry such a threat through single-handedly and successfully. When you go into the information that I give you about in Florida in 1984, they were busting 25,000 labs a year, and they had volume books sent to every post box and discs how to make this, and also fresh glass, laboratorial glass, to every single letterbox. There was documentaries made about this that's being suppressed from you. The governments never brought any laws in. They allowed this to happen all over the world. Until 1994, after 14 years. By that time, when they deemed the drug to be the safest drug in the world, in 1980 they deemed pseudoephedrine to be dangerous because it's a synthetic. But meth is a reduction and it's actually safer. So therefore they never declared that methamphetamine was unsafe, only pseudoephedrine. So they could orchestrate this at exactly the same time. Do you think the governments implemented laws and things like this exactly at the same time and Fester was standing on his own? Because I'll tell you something, okay? In the 90s, right, when we had black webs all over Google, there was one black web called The Hive. The Hive, Hive. The Hive was running until 2013. 161 countries, the same 161 countries, okay, that invested all the surplus money into the world, into the CERN machine, and took all your tax money that caused the financial crunch in 2008 to build the machine to open up these entities into different parallel worlds and different dimensions to summon the beast, which they tell you right in front of your face, they're now in contact with this. And they've opened these borders up in 2012. That's when they opened. That's when I saw everything through the third eye. That's when we all saw it. When you understand something about this, something very specific, then it's important you understand one of the most important things. The Hive, okay, was a black web put on by the same 161 countries that approved it to go into the normal line onto Google without going to black webs. Fester, who was supposed to be in jail and first get the electric chair, but then given 60 years, was the one constructing all this on the Hive. He was the one giving personal information for up to 2013 and taught people all over the world how to cook meth with 280 different ways. The governments took this off the black web and put it online. The same governments that took all your surplus money to build a CERN machine and then tell you the bank had a crash when they stole all your money. The same department that in 1980 said We're flourishing with so much money that by 2020, no one will ever suffer poverty again. No one will ever have to work so hard, and everybody will be flourishing. Then they manipulated that from 1980 onwards through all these platforms and took all that money off you and built a CERN machine, hybrids, clones, gain-of-function research, biolabs, and created human and animal hybrids that God would never create a soul for, and used methamphetamine and graphene oxide serum gold to use for hybrids to conduct to light, power, and energy exactly the same way Nimrod did it in the days of Noah, to use the same entities, to use exactly the same entities as the pharaohs did, that they idolized so much in the education. Now that might be very confronting, because I know it is. I know it is. But when you work with the two top sons involved with this, that work with Hitler, right, and you know what the hive is, and you know Uncle Fester and yourself, and you know what they were doing, and they work with the top scientists, and they were the top professors, the new gurus out of all the professors that constructed all these things from NASA, then believe me, you know what the truth is, not the bubble everyone lives in. And when you consider that Harari tells you right now that we're hackable animals and they're going to do this, the same thing Hitler did, you understand it's his plan they were always following. Like the days of Nimrod, they were always following this with a looking glass machine, the paperclip program, and using all these magic potions, right, that they're putting into people today for light, power, and energy in different dimensions and parallel worlds. And what does Harari say? He says we're going to conduct you to what? To what? To what? To another radio wave? Well, that's already been put up, hasn't it? And what's he going to say? He says we're going to go under the skin with surveillance, and we're going to look back at this very time that we did that. And Hitler tried to create this, Nimrod tried to create this, and now we're doing it. Now, I just think it's amazing that the world can't wake up to this. I think it's absolutely astonishing when they stand at Davos and tell you exactly what they're going to do with these things, right, to stop the effective genes and change the power from the pineal gland to the cortex to control you the same way they do with ADD medication. Because when people are hyperactive, they give you a downer, right, to make you more dormant. And when you're dormant, they give you an upper to make you more active. So that controls your thinking, controls your light, power, and energy because it's a conductor. Okay, that's what it is. It's a conductor. It's nanoparticles that makes your cells work together or make them work against each other. But you are designed into this, right, through corruption, curves, and collusion, through the whole 9 yards with everything. So what do you think they're doing with corruption, curves, and collusion? Right, to activate you into an AI quantum computer where Harari says, we're going to take over God, we're going to put clouds and we're going to control everything, right? With artificial suns like China raised 4 months ago, and they're raising 40 more all over the earth with different light, power, and energy to create a different dimension, and 2 different dimensions to split through the CERN machine, as we saw in the looking glass, that they exposed you on the UFO disclosure when they tell you right to your face. They tell you everything right to your face. And you know what? It's so cunningly unbelievable. This is the most rocket solid evidence, right? So powerful of the human condition, post-human stage, and every single thing unfolding with exactly what you're warned about in the book of Revelation, book 27, unfolding right now. And you know, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what you choose to believe in. You cannot live in that bubble and lie to yourself. You can't do that. You cannot sit there and lie to yourself, right? Because the evidence is more powerful than the book of Revelation itself by so dramatically that it's unbelievable with the great prophet you're warned about, that Obama and the president and also a lot of prime ministers, right, Prince Charles and also Bill Gates calls the great prophet Harari, who says we're going to take out the natural selection of intelligent design, replace it with intelligent design. Nimrod tried to do this, Hitler tried to do this, and we're doing it now. And we're going to remember this time as going back under the skin with surveillance, with mRNA technology, and we can control all the fields with the clouds in this dimension. With the CERN machine, who's already gone into a different dimension and opened up all these portals with demonic powers, and they tell you these things. Elton says we're summoning the beast. They're telling you all these things to your face, and it's all about what? The pillars in front of the Washington House and the pillar in front of the Vatican, which is what? It's all about the all-seeing eye of Horus and the pyramids. The looking glass, the time machine sitting in front of the Vatican that they found and built a new one of. From the Sumerian tablets, from all ancient history, they built one because NASA built another machine, the looking glass machine. And that's why the old one's sitting in front of the Vatican. And you don't even know about this. You're completely oblivious to it, but all these things is right in front of your face because the devil will show you exactly what he's doing. And he'll even tell you, but he'll confuse you and manipulate you on every program that he possibly can to deceive humanity and keep them in their little bubble. And in the biggest mental health research, it was discovered that more than 90% of the Western civilization lives in a bubble and can't think straight. So they've successfully done this. And this is the last 7 years where 227, we're going into massive extinction as reported by the IPCC reports. And what did they say 4 months ago? They were bursting out in tears when they were being suppressed all over the world. The same top scientists from the World Transformation Movement, they said we have gone way beyond the point of return. We've gone way beyond the point of return. And guess what? Everything they're saying is in the looking glass of the movie 2012. And what is it? It's revelation unfolding, man. With two different dimensions where the other dimension becomes perfect, no pain, no stress, no fear. And they tell you in the looking glass, they tell you in the military, in the UFO disclosure. They tell you right in front of your face because they saw the future. They saw the future and there's nothing they can do to change it. Nothing. But they want to take everyone with them, everyone they possibly can with them. You don't even understand that. Over two-thirds of the world population is going to go. They know that in all the reports in the world. They know it in the looking glass. They know it from revelation. They know from DNA research and cell research study and gene defects all over the world, how much they're escalating. They know it's accelerating 7 times faster, as I warned you. It's been declared by the top scientists of the world. It's in the front page newspaper and front page headline news in 2019, and you avoided it. You avoided it. In 2019, they said it's 5 times worse and accelerating 7 times faster. They know the future. And now we're hearing on mainstream media that the zombie viruses has been found in the North and South Antarctica, which was warned in Revelation. And they said they're about to thaw out because of the thyroid glaciers and the corkscrewing releasing. And now they found the zombie viruses from the ancient history, and they know they can't do anything to stop this. And it was in the looking glass, and it's all the movies I told you about, right? All the movies with Brad Pitt, I Am Legend, right? They know what this is. This is how you get the virus of a zombie virus and scratch yourself to pieces, and you will not die for 1,000 years. You will not die. You will wish you were dead, but you can't. It's in biblical history. They know about the zombie virus that they've just reported on mainstream media the other day. They know about it. They saw it in the looking glass. They've made movies about this. And I'm telling you, that's what the book of Revelation says. Those people that become with the zombie virus, right, they will not die. They will wish they were dying. They will wish they were dead, okay? Do you get it? The voice will control humanity in such a way, he will take over all these entities because the zombie virus is the devil himself, right, that's coming out, that's going to thaw out and come out of that frozen ice that he was frozen into. Don't you see that? That's the Antichrist. That's going to take up more than 2/3 of the world population. And believe me, they know that. And when you've seen in the looking glass and you've seen the future, you realize something. Some of us are not going into that dimension. We're going into the other dimension, and we're not going to experience this, but the rest of the world will. The rest of the world will. But we will be divided before that. We will be divided before that. And that's what we consider as resurrection, to go back to your primal state, to think instinctively, and you're going to tune out of the program. Okay? That's the same thing Jesus said. You need to be in the image of Jesus Christ to be saved. You need to be in that image and think outside the mindset that you live in. Think outside the one you can do extraordinary things like I can. To use 100% of your brain with 7-fold wisdom knowledge, and you go into the timeline of 227. And I want you to understand that, because it's not negotiable. Okay? And it's the most important information in the world that you need to be aware of. 227. Do not forget the number. 227. Because believe me, things are going to happen that's going to be beyond your comprehension from there onwards. And you don't want to be here to suffer the consequences. You don't want to go through in the wrong dimension, right? There are 2 different dimensions splitting, right? And believe me, those who stays in their own dimension will not even see anything. One dimension, everybody starts to disappear. The other dimension, right, goes into 2012. But you won't know, because you won't be able to see it. right? It won't happen like that. All of a sudden, people will disappear from one dimension into 2027, and then you'll be in the dimension that goes into 2012, right? And you won't even know. You'll be completely oblivious to it, right? As two dimensions come in and two dimensions splits, and you won't even know. But all of a sudden, you will see things disappear and go into a time where time becomes perfect, mate. No pain, no stress, no fear. And you won't even know. You just walk straight through. And if you die, you'll be resurrected. If you die, you'll be resurrected. If you're chosen. If you're chosen for this time, and if you're going to be saved and you're in your primal state to think instinctively, you'll go in this timeline regardless of what the circumstances are. But the whole rest of the civilization, the whole rest of them, will go into the zombie apocalypse. And more than 2/3 will die. And they'll go into a dimension with a zombie virus where they will live and wish they were dead for a very long time. It's written in the Bible, man. And they saw it in the looking glass. And believe me, if you don't have faith in this, you're screwed, buddy. You're screwed. Because it's a lot more dramatic than you think. And only those that's been reborn, only those that has a real relationship with God to think outside the mindset we live in, with their human instincts to think instinctively, are the ones that will be saved, because you need to be in that image to go into this dimension with love, compassion, loyalty, honor, respect, moral, empathy, remorse, inspiration and encouragement, because everything else goes into the other dimension. Every single thing else, right, with psychological, selfish and egotistical behavior hasn't got a chance, because they're not listening to God, they're listening to Baal. Okay? They're listening to Baal, they're not listening to God. They're listening to the voice that's ultimately going into human extinction as declared by the top IPP science reports. The ones that said 227 is the end time, and they're the ones that discovered the zombie virus the other day. And people are not paying attention at all. So the book of Seerguys 225, written by Tom Thorne, The Gods Rising, written by Jonathan Cahn, okay, The Return of the Gods, right, and my book is unfolding 180% perfectly, and no man on earth can debunk and discredit, because everything started to unfold from 2020 onwards. And mine unfolded with mRNA technology coming from Hitler, from the days of Nimrod. My book is the only one exposing all these things. So please pay attention, get these videos out to everybody you can. And here's something very important. Listen to all the information I've given you over the last week. Okay? Anyone who watches this, believe me, you may not like it. It may be very uncomfortable for you. Very, very difficult to deal with. But you guys here are the front runners that's got this information. And believe me, God created me for this reason, with the most powerful information in modern history, the most powerful information, the most powerful confirmation in a glitch with evidence against the AI system on 6 international events. Please do not forget this. Because any person in the world that goes into these documents, right, they will see it's true. The most powerful evidence ever created in modern history. And then I got put on a 747 with 55 officers. Stop and consider this. Because they turn a blind eye and they got the most powerful evidence in modern history. And guess what? They don't care. They think they're better than that. And here's the evidence. That's why I'm being suppressed. That's why I tell the truth that no one else dares to. So please, prepare yourself for this. Because what's coming is beyond your comprehension and understanding. It's outside this mindset. It's outside this world. It's in another dimension.